Many thanks for staying tuned. It's still the conversation here on Lagos Television. We are currently experiencing a technical hitch that is delaying our guest. If time permits, we'll still connect with him in the course of the program. But like we told you before we went on that break, there is a re-emergence of the Ebola outbreak, of course, in Uganda as we speak. But before we go to that situation, Ajibola, taking a look at, the history of Ebola outbreaks in Africa, it will seem like the last time before now that, large case was experienced was in 2022, and that was in, of course, in Uganda, and of course in the DRC. Yeah. But before then, we've had outbreaks between 2014 and 2016, which of course is said to be the largest outbreak in history, with over 28,600 cases and over 11,000 deaths. And that case started in Guinea. It spread to Liberia, Sierra Leone. It also affected countries outside of Africa, including Italy, Mali, Nigeria, Senegal, Spain, the UK, and the US. That was between 2014 and 2016. And of course, 2018, 2020, that was when we had, that big case here in Nigeria that took the life of our dear Dr. Stella Adadevoh. And of course, in 2021, 2022. So a catalog, there shows that the continent is really at a risk of the Ebola virus. And this, of course, has to do with not only health issues, but also the nonchalant attitude of Africans generally. Sometimes we do not present early. We do a whole lot of self-medication. Yeah. We rely on herbs, even though, these are acceptable ways. But there's also that need to always present early to the medical facilities when certain things are happening that you're not sure of. It's important.
You're very right. And aside from presenting our cases quite early, how much of investment are we putting into awareness? Because now it is Uganda. In some other parts of the continent, I know we are doing a lot in Nigeria, preparing, but how prepared are we is the question that I want to ask this morning. And of course, people tend to enjoy eating bushmeat in this part of the world. Yes. And many times when they tell them that Ebola is around the corner, people will tell you that, oh, no, once I cook my bushmeat very well, nothing is going to happen. So we really need to be alert now. And I want to call on the Honorable Minister of
Health?
No, Health, Interior, because our borders are very, very porous, and people come in and go out the way they like. Yeah. Uganda is just behind us here, and we don't know if anybody will be coming in from Uganda into Nigeria. So
this is the time that our ports, our borders, also, not only our borders, we have port health at the airports. And again, this is where a lot of people also needs to be on the lookout. And, because we also have this attitude of when they stop you at the airport and they want to take your temperature, or they're asking what country you're coming from, you're unnecessarily angry. And then you think, where I'm coming from, they're not stopping me. It's only when I'm getting to your country. But, if there are issues such as Ebola, especially if you're coming from, the continent or places where cases have been reported, this is where the WHO is doing so much. Yeah. It's just that, again, how much of those messages are we cascading? And I think also going back to during the breakout of coronavirus, where, again, you continue to ask the question, how well equipped are primary health care facilities? Because they are the first point of contact to the people. And it is a global issue of concern that primary health care should be essential and very important. And so, and if you go back to what the Honorable Minister for Health said months back, this particular administration is also looking at strengthening the PHCs. Because, again, that is the first point of contact. That is why a lot of people will bypass the PHCs and go to the secondary facilities, because they feel, oh, doctors are not there. There's no light. When you go there in the middle of the night, you cannot have access to a doctor. So if we put those facilities in place and ensure that at every given time there is a doctor on call, who will first take your issues, and there are also basic healthcare facilities, because again, it's another thing for a doctor to attend to you.
If there are no facilities, what can he do? And this will take me to what the former Vice President Atiku said the other time about the budgetary allocation to health. This is a time for us to really utilize that huge amount of money allocated to the Ministry of Health for the year 2025. And aside from that, we'll also use this medium to educate everyone, irrespective of the fact that it is not here yet. And, you can actually contact Ebola by touching infected animals when preparing, cooking, or eating them, body fluids of an infected person, such as saliva, urine, and semen, and things that have the body fluid of an infected person, like clothes. And, it started way back in 1976 in South Sudan and the Democratic Republic of Congo. And it's also occurred later in a village near Ebola River, and that was exactly where the name
Ebola actually
came
stemmed out from. Okay, let's quickly tell you that the reports, especially from the WHO, did say that as of today, Uganda is experiencing a re-emergence of the Ebola virus, specifically the Sudan strain. Now, this is what beats me about these things. Now, they have different strains, so you don't even know. Even until even some people are still breaking down with coronavirus, and they'll tell you it is this particular strain. It is that strain that is not very potent, and there are different strains. So at the moment, the Sudan strain is viral, and the outbreak was declared on January 30 following the death of a male nurse who had traveled between Kampala and Mbale. Of course, 265 individuals have been monitored, were under quarantine measures, and also the Democratic Republic of Congo is investigating 12 potential cases in the Equator province, with 7 reported deaths. Now, 2 countries at the moment are under surveillance, and that is the reason why Nigeria must also be on the alert, because again, you never know, who has, this strain already and might be cross-bordering from one city to another, one state to another, one country to another. And, for those who also think that some of those vaccines that we are told to take, they do not have a place in, it's a fallacy. If there are vaccines developed and we need to take them, let's try as much as possible to also ensure that, our body system is also built to fight some of these things. So it's important that, we stay safe. It needs to start from us before government begins to implement. And let's go back to the hand washing. It's very important.
Hand washing is very, very important. And of course, let us continue to keep our environment clean. Government will do its bit, and we'll also do some bits on our own part as well. And I'm sure that NCDC is also on top of the situation, trying to prepare and, of course, monitor those who are entering the country, ensuring that they are tested, so that we won't see any surprise at the end of the day. Like you rightly suggested the other time, this is the time for us to really strengthen our primary healthcare centers. And this is one advantage of that Supreme Court judgment. Now that local governments will be receiving their funds directly, they must not, I repeat, waste that money on frivolities. Strengthen the primary health care centers in such a way that if there is any emergency, they'll be able to handle it. I read a particular story in one of the dailies over the weekend where people were being told in Ogun State, it was stated there, you buy fuel at their PHCs.
A paper, actually picks that story again as their frontline headline this morning, a community in Ogun where practically everything you pay for it. So if you also remember, Aproko Doctor had also done something not too long ago about a health center in the interior part of Lagos. So again, there are isolated cases. Government is trying, but oftentimes there are times that, know, they also might not be able to get to all those places. So certain things that we see, we must also escalate and let government know that this is your role and responsibility. You cannot afford to shy away from these things. And by the time the local government start getting their monies by themselves, we do hope this will also start in earnest, because we've been talking about this, we've been talking about it. We're happy when the Supreme Court judgment, you know, was handed down. It's been well over 8 months and nothing has been done. And so the CBN also needs to look quickly into this and allow the local government to have access to their money genuinely, so that, you know, all of these things will be done. But before it's also interesting to note that Uganda has started Ebola vaccine trial. After, you know, this new outbreak, which will also bring me back to research and things like this. We need to also get back to that era where, as Nigeria, we also must not depend totally on, you know, all those things that other people also develop in their own climes. What is happening to our own research institutes? Aren't we also able to start, you know, vaccine trials? It can be
before
done.
the outbreak.
It can be done. It can be done because, again, yes, we're all Africans, but Africa is different from Africa, true.
Yes.
Because there are some climes that are hotter than Nigeria. There are some climes that are colder than Nigeria. So can we also begin to look at what will work for us here? We can develop these things even with the help of our trado medicine practitioners, because of course some of these things will use our herbs and local things. It's important that we go back to research and funding of the research. It's really important.
Abimbola, it is very, very important, like you said. And now that the United States of America has even pulled out of WHO, we better have a rethink now.
Now, funding
because of funding, there's no free lunch anywhere.
Funding will become more problem.
So we really need to do a lot of research and, of course, prepare before time so that there won't be any kind of surprise. We'll start running up and down, looking for vaccines.
Yeah, valid points that we've raised here this morning. Well, remember that all the things that we've said here, we are not doctors, but of course, we have all of these things either from WHO or from other health monitoring organizations which have backed up some of the things we've said here on the program today. But the bottom line is you have, you know, you have yourselves to blame if you do not take adequate care of yourselves. Please present early when you have something going on with you. Do not self-medicate. And of course, when you do get your medications and they are not working, go back to those health facilities. Tell them what exactly is going on with you and let them find you better, you know, how to manage the situation and all of those health indications that we used to go by. We used to do washing of hands, using your thermometer, you know, just being careful around where you go. And if you need to wear your mask, don't, like some will say, I don't want to be the odd one out. I bet dare to be the odd one out, if that indeed will keep you in a perfect state of mind and health.
You can't say better than that. And we hold ourselves some sense of responsibility before government will come in and assist us. Keep your environment clean and, of course, do the washing of hands. Like Abimbola said, your health is your wealth, and you cannot take care of yourself enough.
All right, that will be all. We will add our voices too on this segment today. If we're able to connect with our doctor at some other time, we will definitely escalate this conversation. We'll take a quick break. When we return, the program continues.